I'm really excited to be joining all of you here to talk about getting the scrap. If you're following along at home, today you'll need a sheet of paper, a pencil, calculator, a mason jar, and any type of crafting supplies that you want to decorate with. And that'll make sense in a little while. But first, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started here. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. And Getting the Scrap is the museum's nationwide service learning project. And it teaches students all about environmental awareness, recycling, and conservation. And the best part is that most of these activities can be done right at home. The virtual image behind me that you see and the one on the screen is the museum's STEM Innovation Gallery in the Kushner Restoration Pavilion. So World War II is filled with tons of amazing innovations in science and technology. But many times these innovations rely on everyday Americans to make it possible. So let's take this ambulance for an example. This ambulance was the first one to be fitted with a heater. And putting a heater in the back of this ambulance helps treat battlefield shock. Of course, other huge medical innovations at the time was the use of penicillin and blood plasma. However, none of these innovations really matter if you can't get them to the soldiers who need it. That makes rubber for the tires on this ambulance one of the most important elements. Most of the world's rubber supply came from rubber tree plantations in Southeast Asia. Now, this area was occupied by Japan, and that cut off a lot of the US rubber supply. So factories had to scrap every bit of rubber that they can find. And citizens were asked to scrap old tires, old raincoats, gloves, garden hoses, and even their shoes to help meet the demand for rubber. The military used rubber for all sorts of things. They used it for life preservers and gas masks. They used it for lifeboats in naval vessels. And of course, we're talking about tires. So this Dodge ambulance needed 306 pounds of rubber to be produced. Now, a typical boot uses about 3 pounds of rubber. So let's just do a quick math problem to figure out how many rubber boots we would have to recycle to have enough rubber to build one ambulance. So go ahead and grab your sheet of paper and your pencil and your calculator, and let's do this problem together. So anytime you start a math problem, you always write down what you know first. So what exactly do we know? We know that one boot equals 3 pounds of rubber. We also know that one ambulance equals 306 pounds of rubber. So what do you think we would do to figure out this math problem? I think we should divide. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 306 and we're going to divide that by 3. That gets us 102 boots for just one ambulance. However, during World War II, there were 19,000 of these ambulances that were built. So how many boots do you need to make every single ambulance built during World War II. Right here, we would multiply, right? So we would do 102 boots times 19,000 ambulances. So go ahead and plug that into your calculator, and let's see what we get. We get 1,938,000 boots to build all of the ambulances that were made during World War II. That's an awful lot of boots and a lot of rubber that was needed. But rubber was just one item that was recycled during World War II. There were many, many more, including waste fats and nylon and wool and even metal. The amazing thing is that students played a huge role in collecting those materials during and after school. Materials that were then created into vehicles and vessels and planes and weapons and uniforms. And they were sent all over the globe to the front lines to help American soldiers. Just like students back then, you're going to be making a difference by participating in Getting the Scrap. Just by learning and just by doing all of these activities, you're going to change the way that we look at the environment around us. However, you'll need to keep track of everything you learn. So as you complete the different activities, we're going to create a memory jar that you can put all of your memories into. And that way, once you're done, you can go back and go through all of your memories and all of your ideas and see all of the progress that you've made. So let's get started. The audio on this video, the first few minutes of it is a little wonky. So just bear with me in the first few minutes. I really couldn't fix the audio. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now you want to grab your mason jar and your crafting supplies. Like Kate said, this webinar is going to be recorded, so you can actually go back to this part and do it at your own pace. So enjoy this video. We're going to get started here.
Now that I've relocated to my kitchen, let's get started on the next activity. So we just finished our math problem where we've learned how many boots we would need to recycle to build just one ambulance. Then we went on to figure out how many boots we would have to recycle if we wanted to build all of the ambulances that were constructed during World War II. So now we're going to take this mason jar and create what's called a memory jar. This way we can store all of our ideas and all of our memories and all of our answers for Getting the Scrap into it as we continue through the program. So to decorate your mason jar, you can use any crafting supplies that you have. So because I'm in New Orleans, we have a big Mardi Gras scene, which means that I have a lot of glitter. So I'm going to use red and white and blue glitter to decorate my jar, but you can use whatever you have at home. So just a few pointers to get started. If you want to glue anything onto the mason jar, then you're going to want to combine Elmer's glue all or Elmer's school glue with original tacky glue. You want to do about half and half. This will make sure that it'll stick to the glass. So I've already combined my half and half into here. And you always want to work on paper plates or something to cover up your surface. That way you don't ruin anything that you have. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with the red glitter first. So I'm going to take some of this glue and I'm just going to go ahead and paint a little bit of a design on here like this. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. So we're just going to start to kind of fill in the area that we want the glitter to stick to. So we're gonna do a red section first. Okay, and I'm just using a regular small paintbrush to do this. So I'm gonna open up my red glitter here, and we're gonna start to sprinkle onto the glued areas. Now I am using just a regular paper plate to catch the leftover glitter that is falling. Give it a little tap there, maybe put a little bit more. Now this glitter is a fine glitter and it is biodegradable, so you want to make sure that you always buy the biodegradable glitter. That way, if it does get into the environment, it'll actually dissolve itself. So that's your red section there, red. And then we're going to go ahead and do the white section. So now that we've got our white section glued, I'm going to switch the paper plates to a different one. And then I'm going to sprinkle my white glitter. Okay, so we have our red and our white. I'm going to go ahead and do the blue. Again, I'm going to change paper plates, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue in the blue section here. Now, if you don't have glitter, you can do anything. You can wrap this with paper. You can find some old wrapping paper from Christmas time. You can do all sorts of things with this. Okay. Whenever I'm finished, I'm going to actually put the glitter that's fallen away. If you see all this glitter that's fallen away, I'm actually going to put this back into the glitter container. That way we're not wasting any of it. So here is my red, white, and blue memory jar. So like I said, this is a super simple activity. So once you get the glitter on there and the glue is there, you want it to dry for a little while. Once you dry it, you want to go ahead and hairspray it. That way it will actually stay in place as you work with it. So I messed it up just a little bit, so I'm going to put it back there. Okay. So I'm going to take some hairspray, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a light coating over this. And then once this dries, it'll be ready to use. So I also have some ribbon that I'm going to do around the top. This way it just kind of gives a finished look to the whole project. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto here as well. And there you go. Here is our red, white, and blue memory jar. Now, we take our math problem from earlier. So you see all of my work in my math problem, and the two answers here are squared. We're going to fold it up. I'm going to fold it up just like that, and I'm just going to drop it in. And that's our first memory from our first Get in the Scrap activity. Now, as you finish the program, you're going to fill this jar up with all sorts of memories. And when you're done, go back through, open up your jar, pull out all of your memories, and see the kind of impact that you made for our environment through getting the scrap. You can find this activity and a lot more on gettingthescrap.org. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. I hope that everyone enjoyed my little video that walked you through how to create a memory jar. And that is, like I apologize again for the terrible sound in the first few minutes of that. I promise that tomorrow's audio will be a little bit better. So we have a few questions that have come in. So Jason wants to know, what were some of the most commonly recycled items during the war? So Jason, that is a great question. They really tried to recycle as much as they could. So things like nylon, so think of women's stockings. So they recycled women's stockings. They created parachutes out of those. Tomorrow we're going to talk a lot about metal. They used metal for ammunition casings and tanks and planes and all those sorts of things. We're going to talk a lot about that tomorrow. They, of course, did rubber. They recycled grease from like bacon fat. So whenever your mom and cooks bacon at home, they save the bacon fat, and that was used for a chemical called glycerin. And glycerin is explosive. So they would create bombs out of that. So really a lot of your everyday items, they actually recycle because they need to use as much as they can. So let's see, Sarah asks that I've seen pictures of people recycling grease. Well, we just talked about the grease. It has a chemical in it called glycerin, and glycerin is an explosive. So that was separated out, and they would create bombs from that. Sully wants to know, why does the ambulance have a big red painted cross all over it? Yeah, you're right. So you see the big red cross here. There's an international organization called the International Red Cross. And they, with treaties that are signed with countries all around the world, those treaties bind you to not attack buildings or vehicles or areas that are marked with these red crosses. Now, Americans use the Red Cross, the British, even the Nazi government in Germany used the Red Cross. In fact, the American Red Cross, not the American Red Cross, the International Red Cross actually inspected some of the concentration camps early in the war. One of them was called Theresienstadt, and we could probably do a whole nother webinar just on Theresienstadt. So we'll talk about that another time, but that's the importance of the Red Cross that we see. Today we have an organization called the American Red Cross that does a lot of work around the country, especially during disasters and disaster work. So I think I have time for one more question. So Connor wants to know, how else did people help out during the war? That's a really great question, Connor. So we have a really wonderful resource at the museum called See You Next Year. It is an online collection of yearbooks. And there you can really get a feel for how young people made some major contributions to the war. So not only did they run scrap drives like we've been talking about to collect rubber and metal and grease and paper, but they also sold war bonds to help raise money. They joined programs that they called Victory Corps that taught them basic first aid and early nursing skills. And another big organization was the Civil Defense. So volunteers, adult volunteers, often would join the Civil Defense Corps, and they would be on the lookout for air raids. So you had air raid wardens, you had blackout wardens, you had, they're the ones who often patrolled harbors. They're the ones who flew planes domestically in the US to help defend the coast against the potential attack. So those civil defense units were really important, and most of those are volunteers. So I think that is all the time that we have today. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us. Tomorrow we're going to talk about metal, and we're going to talk about how much metal it takes to build a tank, and that'll start tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. So come back tomorrow. We're going to do one more math problem and another really cool activity. So thank you all very much for joining us, and you all have a great day and stay safe.